Hello everybody, welcome back to the Mindful Physiology series. Today I'm going to be talking about the endocrine system. This is the system that regulates and kind of is in control of, of the rest of the processes in our body. It really supports all the systems that we have seen in the previous videos and all the systems that we are going to see in the coming ones. So it's a very important system. The function of the endocrine system is to release into the bloodstream at the right time, in the right moment, and in the right quantity chemicals that are called hormones. And they go into the bloodstream, they carry a message, and when they arrive to a particular area in our body, they deliver this message and the body is able to perform certain function. So it's a quite delicate and precise work that it does, the endocrine system. The endocrine system is made out of glands. Although the hormones are produced everywhere in the body, there are some specific points in our body that produces more hormones, and those organs that produce hormones are called glands. These glands are located across our body, and as I said, they release hormones, which are chemicals, in the right time and the right moment. So today we are going to explore what this system teaches us, what we know in order for us to make decisions to support this system better with our habits. And then I will close with a chanting. So first, we are going to start with the awareness practice as usual. This is an awareness practice for the endocrine system. And in this practice, I'm going to mention some points in the body. So before I start the practice, I'm going to mention these points in the body so we know what we are talking about when we are in the awareness practice. So the first point that I'm gonna mention are the adrenals. And here I want to bring an experience that I had, personal experience. So only until I was like 40 years, maybe almost 40, I discovered where really my kidneys are. I really don't know where I had the misconception that the kidneys were in the lower back, very down in the body. I don't know really where this comes from, but it stayed that belief and remained all my life. So when I wanted to touch my kidneys and approach to them, I was always touching my lower back. But then discover what is the real position of that. And the real position is kind of up in your body. And the reason why they are there is because the kidneys, as the stomach, the heart, the lungs, our lungs, they are the key organs in our body. So they have to be protected. And they are protected by the rib cage. So the kidneys are not the exception, and they are protected by the rib cage at the back. So our kidneys are located somewhere like at the back of the stomach, somewhere like here. And on top of that, on top of the kidneys, we have the adrenals, which are little tiny organs there. We are going to mention this in our awareness practice. From the adrenals, we will move to our ovaries or testes, which is located in our reproductive system in the lower part of the body. Then we move to the pancreas, and the pancreas is something that lies across our body next to the stomach. And our stomach is in the left part of our body. So if we want to connect with our stomach, really is behind this last rib cage that we have here. And next to it, we have the pancreas. Then we will move in the awareness practice up to the thymus, and we talk about the thymus in the last video, talking about the lymphatic system, because this gland is also part or support the lymphatic system. So the thymus is located in your bone, in almost like in the sternum, in your bone chest, and above the heart. So somewhere like here is a point like here. Then we will move up to the thyroid, which is in your throat, and then we move to the ones that are in the brain. So we have two in the brain. We have the hypothalamus and the pituitary glands. They are located kind of in the center of the brain, somewhere behind here and just in the center of the brain. And then a little bit backwards from that position, there is another tiny one, powerful gland, which is the pineal gland. So these are the points I'm gonna recall during the awareness practice. So let's start. So as usual, remember, find your best position with clothes that are not loose, so you are not distracted by any tightness or anything that is distracting you. And as well, find a position with your back upright and with your feet touching the ground, or if you sit down, be sure that you are in a comfortable position to be like grounded and touching the floor with your body. And from there, we close our eyes and we start by taking 2-3 deep breaths in and slow exhale. Breathe in deeply. Exhale slowly. Breathe in deeply. Exhale slowly. Then let's move the attention to the area above your upper lip and below your nostril. There is a very small area there. Just bring your mind there and focus there, like watching that point of your body. And start paying attention to the flow of your breath. Feel the air coming in and going out through that part of your body. Feel how your air is passing through that particular point to get in, and how the air is touching again when it's coming out. Focus your attention carefully and with curiosity in that point. Observe yourself in this tiny part of your body. Now bring your attention to your adrenals at the top of your kidneys. There are little organs there with triangular shape, very tiny. And feel how they are the basic thrust of your life. Now move to your ovaries or testes and observe the wonder of procreation. Move up now to your pancreas, next to your stomach. The pancreas gives you your willpower to do what you want to do. Now we move to the thymus, located in your chest bone. Your thymus allows you to stand up for your life. You move up to the thyroid and parathyroid, which are located in the throat. They allow you to speak your truth. And when we continue moving up, we move to the brain. And in the brain, we are going to connect with our hypothalamus and our pituitary glands, which are just there in the center of your brain. They are your awareness. They are the ones that are helping you in this moment to bring awareness of your body. But also, it helps you to be aware of the world outside and be aware of your perceptions from that world and your reactions to that world outside. It really helps you to see And lastly, we move to the pineal gland, which is a little bit more backwards from the pituitary gland. And that one is a very tiny, tiny gland that connects you with your inner self, with your spirit, or even with something that is higher than you. That is the part of the body that helps you to see that you are more than bones and tissues. You are something else beyond that. From the hypothalamus to the pituitary to the pineal gland in your brain, from your thyroid and parathyroid, from your thymus, from your pancreas, from your ovaries and testes, from your adrenal glands, you live and you enjoy life thanks to the work that they do. They work together, and the way they work looks like a dance, highly coordinated, coordinating one with each other, gland to gland. They are like kind of these friends that are very able to listen carefully to you, and they can provide the right support in the right moment, in the right time. Smile with gratitude for this wonderful endocrine system that moves around your body, that dances inside of you, and to help you to feel in balance and grounded. Now bring your attention back to the area above the upper lip and below the nostrils. Bring your attention back to your breath. Just enjoy watching your breath. To close, let's take one deep breath in and slow exhale, slow exhale. Let's take another deep breath. Exhale slowly. When you're ready, open your eyes. As I mentioned in the awareness practice, the endocrine system is made out of glands. So let's go a little bit one by one through all of them, one by one. The first one is the hypothalamus and the pituitary. The hypothalamus is called the master gland because it's the one that controls all the other. And also one interesting fact that I found recently is that it's the meeting point between the endocrine system, the nervous system, and the immune system. So all these three systems have a response, or all of them connect there, or end there, or have a relationship with the hypothalamus. So that is like the controller, like the control center in a train station. Is that the hypothalamus. Then we have the pituitary gland, which is the one that immediately receives the information from the hypothalamus and the orders and the chemicals. So it receives the orders in terms of chemicals, in biological responses, and in terms also of electricity, like electric signs. The pituitary receives that, and she is able to communicate and send the messages to the rest of the endocrines. The pineal gland is the one that it helps us or releases a hormone, melatonin, which helps us to control the biorhythm in life. So that one is the one that when the sunset is coming, releases certain hormone, and the body knows, it's time to sleep. So all the rest of the body starts like in a switching off mode. to go to sleep in the night. And in the morning, when it receives the light of the sun again, is the pineal gland who detects that and then releases hormones to activate our body for movement and activate all the rest of the biological process for movement. So this is a very key gland located in the brain. Then we have the thyroid gland. This one is, it's beautiful because it has like a butterfly shape. It really has that shape. So when we imagine and when we do awareness practice with the system or with our body, when we want to bring calmness to the mind, we can always imagine the shape also of this gland, which is a beautiful one. Thyroid, it helps with the metabolism in our body, which is how the food converts into energy, and also with the growth. Then we move to the thymus, and as I mentioned in the last video, highly involved with immunity. So it really supports the immune system. Then we move down to the pancreas, which supports our digestion and also the levels of sugar in our blood, working together with the liver. There are some functions that happen enjoying with other organs. Our pancreas, digestion. Then we move to the ovaries and testes, which are responsible for procreation. And then we move to the adrenals, which are located on top of the kidneys, under our rib cage, protected by the rib cage. And they are the ones that are store information about survival. So they help us with survival. So as you see, all of these glands in the body are responsible almost to regulate every single biological process in our body. From control the body temperature. So the thermoregulation, I missed that, the thermoregulation happens thanks to the pituitary gland. So the regulation of the temperature in our body, from the sugar levels, from the pressure, blood pressure, to the heart rhythm, to our ability to procreate, to our digestion, and now these are from like the physical processes, to our sleep as well, control our sleep, but also involves our mood and our emotions. And this is why the system is very connected with our nervous system and even our psychology, our psyche, our psychology. So when I started a couple of years ago practicing and learning a little bit of yoga, the first thing that we learn under this philosophy or the yogic traditions is that they believe that we are more than matter, and we are more like an energetic field, and we have an energetic field inside of our bodies. And the way they find out, they see that we have energy across all of our body, as more or less the hormones are released in many places in our body. So they say that the energy in our bodies is spread everywhere, but there are key points that are located in our body with major concentration of energy, and they found, or they believe, that these key points in our body are like energy vortices that are moving constantly to be able to manage and with the flow of the energy in our body. So these points are called the chakras. And when I started learning in the yogic traditions, I always saw the chakras as this energy field that is not tangible, that we can touch when we go into meditation or yoga or yogic practices during many years, we are maybe able to touch those points, um, and those energetic points are responsible for our health. So under that tradition, when these energy points, which are called chakras, are not working properly, are not open, as they call in the terminology, they call that these chakras points in the body should be open to be able to allow the energy to flow, then we experience illnesses. From the Eastern traditions, the illnesses come from the misharmony in the body and the no flow of energy around our body. This is not only true for the yogic traditions from India, but also from the traditional Chinese medicine, where everything is, all the illnesses comes from stagnation of the energy in a particular part of the body, or not having opened these channels so the energy can flow freely. So when I learned that, I was always practicing those things, and there are practical techniques. There are also some less practical but more mystical, and I was practicing them, but I was missing something. And then I found that obviously there is a huge correlation between the endocrine system and the chakra system from the yogic traditions. And that was the one that helped me to be in contact more from the physical part of the body and then touching that energetic field. So this is what I wanted to share mainly around the endocrine system, more beyond how it works, how the thymus works, how the pituitary gland works, is that after seeing this correlation, for me, the endocrine system, the glands, are the physical manifestation of these points, of the physical entity of certain points of the body, and the chakras from the yogic traditions are the energetic field of this body. And it was until that moment where I could really merge how matter and energy are together in our bodies, and why body and mind have to be aligned. This is for me like the explanation of the way I could understand better this concept of body and mind. All the Eastern traditions were more body mind, or sometimes body mind spirit. But I was like for years repeating myself without really feeling what it was. And then the endocrine system really helped me to touch base, to see how they are connected. So in general, the chakras from the yogic tradition, as I said, energy, there are a lot of in the body, but they are concentrated mainly in 7 points. So the first one they call the root chakra, and the root chakra is located in the perineum. The perineum is located just in front of your anus, at the base of our body when we are when we sit down. We can feel that the perineum. We can feel that as well when we try to squeeze our anus, then the perineum move as well. That point is where the root chakra is. And is the chakra that in the yogic traditions is related with how we feel in the world, how supported we feel, and is the corresponding organ or the correspondency in the endocrine system are the adrenals, which are responsible for the survival, for our survival. The second point, or the second chakra, is the sacral chakra, which is located in our reproductive system. So this fully overlaps the endocrine system with the ovaries and the testes, and they are responsible for the creativity. They bring creativity in our lives when that point of energy is working properly, is open and is in balance. The third chakra is something that they call the navel chakra, which is located in the solar plexus, so here. And that chakra is the one that helps us to have the willingness and the power to face life. Then the next chakra is the heart chakra. And this is the chakra where we can experience love, and when it's fully open, experience that in the East called unconditional love. Then this is the fourth one. The fifth chakra is the throat chakra, and this chakra is related with communication. I'm gonna step back because I missed something. So in the third chakra, solar plexus, in the endocrine system, the organ that is associated with the chakra is the pancreas for the third chakra. For the fourth chakra, which is the chakra of the heart, help us to experience love and unconditional love. The correspondent gland is the thymus in the endocrine system. And then we have the fifth chakra, which is the throat chakra, which is related with our communication, our ability to speak our truth mainly, is the message from the yogic traditions. When it's not open, we are not able to speak and to communicate, even verbally or writing or even chanting. In any way, we experience some troubles, and that affects other areas in our life. This is the fifth one, and is related with the thyroid. And then we have the ones in the brain, the sixth chakra, which is the pituitary gland, which should help us to have this awareness of the world, be very aware of what is happening outside, and start this process of deep understanding of our meaning here on earth, and being as well very aware of how we perceive the world outside, on everything what happens from outside. But also has a huge role, because the more we have balanced this chakra, the sixth chakra, which they call the third eye chakra, and it's because they call it the third eye, but it's related with the pituitary gland and the hypothalamus. Also, another important point is that it helps, like, it has this role of being like a third eye, so we can really have more vision in life. And then the crown chakra, they call it the crown chakra, is located at the top of the head, and it helps us to connect with something that is beyond us, above or higher than us, or really help us to connect with our inner being, and with this really meaning of who we are, that way. And that crown chakra corresponds to the pineal gland. I remember now that also a couple of years ago I was introduced into pineal gland meditations, with the belief that the older we get, this pineal gland, which is like really tiny, less than a pea size, start calcifying the toxins in the environment, but also the toxins from our mind. As we grow old, they start calcifying and making that gland hard, so then with time it's more difficult to release the hormones, but also more difficult maybe to connect with our deep selves. And those meditations were very powerful. I will leave some links in this video, because they were very wonderful. It has been a long time I don't practice them, so I don't have them at the moment very clear, but those guided meditations really took you into that place. So it's a great place to start touching your endocrine system using the pineal gland. Okay, so this is from the chakras and the yogic tradition, and not only yogic but as well the Tibetan Buddhism. They have a lot of practices to activate this point of the body. They activate these points with movements like yoga, with aromatherapy, with colors as well. Color therapy is very associated in how you can activate these points of your body. I will talk about that later. And now I want just to share also this huge interrelationship now between the endocrine system with the nervous system and with the immune system and our psychology. So as I said also, as the chakras and the endocrine system help me to see how body mind really are connected, nowadays science as well are finding this huge connection between the endocrine system, as I said, nervous system, because they cannot be separated, they work together, the immune system and our psychology, to the point that we now can find specialists which are called something like immune endocrinologists. So it's a really a specialist that is covering so many areas. In the past, someone who had, for example, diabetes was always sent to an endocrinologist who was a specialist, very knowledgeable person about how the glands work, but never had approaches to involve your psychological state, how your immune system is, and how your nervous system is working, and how you can support your nervous system to assist a problem, an endocrine problem. So now we are seeing that, and I think this is also part of the time in history and the development of science when we are at the moment, but also because we started being more open to these old traditions, where for them the human body was not seen as separate systems, but it was seen as a whole. So this is something interesting that is happening, and now what I want to do is to explain one of the functions from a physiological point of view of the glands, of a particular group of glands, in response of stress in the body, how this mechanism works, and see how clearly we can see how the emotions affect the body directly, and that probably, yes, all the illnesses and the disharmonies that we may have are coming purely from our emotions and the mind. So then the root now that we are finding out with more research and that we knew from the old traditions, it guides us into how or which kind of treatment we can start having and what kind of approaches we can have to start dealing with serious conditions or chronic illnesses. So the example, I want to bring an example here to how the endocrine system works in response to the stress. So when there is a stress, and we are gonna put the example that we are gonna cross the street, and all of a sudden we see that a car is coming very fast and is gonna hit us. So the first thing that happens in that moment when we feel threatened is that the hypothalamus receives that message. It perceives that message in the brain and immediately releases a hormone to the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland knows, okay, there is a threat here, and it immediately releases certain hormones that are useful for this particular situation. the stress. And those hormones are sent immediately to the adrenal glands, which are the ones that are responsible to respond to stress. The adrenal glands receive these chemicals, these hormones, and then what they do is to release another type of hormones, which are adrenaline and noradrenaline. And those hormones, which are chemicals, they travel quickly through the blood in less than a second to help the body to release sugar from wherever it is stored, from the liver. The liver stores sugar for these emergencies, and in other parts of the body it takes all the sugar out, so the sugar goes quickly into the cells and is transformed into energy. And that energy is the one that is ready, available for us to run and cross the street. All of this happened in less than a second, as I said, as a response to have enough energy in the legs to run. And that is why when we can be surprised what kind of things we are able to do when we are under stress. We can really run faster than we normally do. Is because there is an overdose, let's say, of certain hormones or chemicals in the body that allow the body to produce more energy for that specific moment. But when we cross the street and we are safe, there is a relief. The nervous system switch the mood to the other part of the nervous system that is related with relaxation and calming down. So it moves quickly there, and the body releases different kind of hormones in that moment. So there is a balance again, and the body come back to rest, let's say, and leave that stressful moment. The problem nowadays is that the hypothalamus in our brain is not able to make the difference between a car that is gonna hit us, between a loss that we have, a family loss, or between a huge complex I have in my relationship, or the loss of a job that brings a lot of anxiety and tension, or whatever other stress that we face in life. The brain doesn't differentiate one of the other. The brain just knows that it is a threat, that there is anxiety and tension, and then it has to react quickly. And the way it do is through this process, sending message to the pituitary to the adrenals send this chemical in the body, and then we are all the time like in an alert mood, because if we don't do anything in a period of 1 month, 2 months, 1 year under stress and continuous anxiety, then we are always like almost in the same situation that when we are crossing a street and it's a car coming, and the same body processes are happening all the time. And the overdoses of those chemicals, which is adrenaline, noradrenaline, and cortisol in our blood, causes so many problems, because also alterates the blood sugar, the sugar in the blood, the blood pressure, the heart rhythm is always higher. All of these responses that the body has to have to be safe in the face of a threat, they are also present when we are facing stress. So this is one of the reasons why meditation, mindfulness, yoga, all these techniques that they can come also from the West, that they were techniques in the past in the West for calming down and relaxation, they are very now under study, and we know that they help us to release the stress, So the mind is not in this alert mode, and this rest of the systems can work naturally. So one of the things that happen very important is that when we are in this high alert and when we are going to cross the street, these hormones also makes the digestive system and the reproductory system stop, make them to stop working. Why? Because when we are being trapped by a truck, the last thing that we want is to eat and to have sex. And those are two systems and those two physiological or biological processes in our body, digestion and sexuality, that requires the body to be fully still and in harmony. If we are not still where we are eating, then the digestive system is not working. It's not going to work properly. So this is the huge interrelationship between our endocrine system and the emotions and how we manage the emotions. So from here we can infer, and nowadays has been demonstrated already, that most part of the illnesses that we are facing today are coming from stress, because it generates a chain of reactions that start affecting different parts of the body. And depending how we manage the stress and how we perceive the threat, then we end up with different kind of conditions and illnesses. So all the different techniques that help us to calm down, whatever it works for each of us, it definitely contributes with having our hormones in balance, with an endocrine system working properly, and hence with all the body working properly. So how we can keep our hormones in balance? So more or less what I was saying before, having practices to calm down the mind, because it controls everything in our body. And also it's very interesting that now are appearing different diets and medical procedures to return the body, the hormones back to balance. But one of them, like my understanding now, is that the hormones work and the glands work in a very highly precise way, and in working together with all the different systems in our body, that still I think is very naive to think that we can give a pill to control a hormone and it's going to control it. I really feel that the hormonal system is one of the most complex in our body, one of the most difficult to come back to balance once is in imbalance, but it is possible, but not possible only with a medicine. We need more things. One big thing, one big help is the diet. Eliminating the processed food and try to reduce the toxins that we are receiving, and eating as much as we can cook food at home, because we know what we are putting in our food. This is a huge aid to balance out the hormones. But when we already reach that point, when we are eating in generally healthy, whole foods and nothing processed, and we don't have progress, is because there are more underlying issues. There are ways deeper to manage. There are better ways to manage this deep root of an imbalanced hormone. And this is where I want to bring again the yogic traditions, because as I mentioned before, there are different techniques, procedures, even rituals that in the East they have doing for centuries to manage and not manage, but keep your chakras aligned, open, and in harmony. And these techniques involve as I mentioned, the sound, the movement, aromatherapy, colotherapy. And one that I want just to call attention to for closing today is the sound. So in the last video, I mentioned Masaru Emoto, this Japanese that researched the impact of the sound in water and how the water responds to that stimuli, forming different shapes depending on the stimuli. Exactly the same is the technique that the yogic practices teaches us. The sound produces different vibrations and with different frequencies, and those frequencies can travel to each of our chakras located in different parts of the body to align them and balance. So if we have a chronic condition, obviously we have to be under supervision of a doctor and following all the medical procedures because it is in a point that maybe is risking your life. But if we have still not an illness, but we want to be sure that our hormones are in balance, I really invite you to keep practices beyond the meditation or any technique that helps you to slow down your mind and calm your mind. Also to bring the sound, because the sound is very powerful. And this is how I want to close today. This is a practice I have been doing for many years. I learned when I started learning about the yogic traditions. I'm not very full into yoga now, but one that remains with me is this practice of chakra balancing, and we can call it also hormonal balancing. You can do this when you are moving in your house cleaning, or maybe at work you just stop and go somewhere and do a little bit the exercise. Anytime during the day, we don't need any extra facilities or extra devices to do this, just our voice. So for the yogic traditions, each chakra has a sound associated, because that sound has a special frequency, and that frequency is the one that touches that particular chakra. So the sound for the first root chakra is lam. Then the second sacral chakra is vam. The navel chakra is ram. Then the heart chakra is jam. The throat chakra is hum. The eye chakra is om. And the crown chakra is aum. So I'm gonna finish the video practicing a little bit of this. We can bring into these sounds whatever rhythm we want to bring. Is our own creativity that makes us. So let's see how this comes out now from me. We start from the root to the crown. Lam, vam, ram, jam, ham, om, aum. At the end, remember always to keep silence, because there you can enjoy all the vibrations and everything that you created in the body for these minutes, and it really helps to calm down the mind. I hope this is helpful, and see you in the next video. Thank you very much.